Welcome to the NTN Nightly. I'm Nisha Charles. This edition's top stories. The Population and Housing Census for 2020 has been launched. St. Lucia moves one step closer to submitting its national reports on the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. Educators across the region meet to strengthen early grade reading in the OECS. All that plus the NTN Nouvelles are Creole. The Central Statistics Office of St. Lucia on Tuesday officially launched the National Population and Housing Census 2020, a census which is described as the procedure of systematically acquiring and recording information about the members of a given population is conducted every decade. Director of the Central Statistical Office, Sean Masre, highlighted the importance of conducting a census and said that the pace of development of any country can only be done through informed decision-making.
We should embrace this occasion with utmost optimism that socio-economic planning geared towards poverty reduction, crime reduction, which is a very topical issue right now, and the alleviation of the social status of our people would be based on data representing the accurate and realistic conditions of our human population. The launch of the 2020 census represents the CSO's sustained commitment to providing the means for a comprehensive empirical assessment of the country's demographic features and its development needs. Data gathered from this complex and expensive nationwide exercise will give the government, development partners, and the general public an objective and reliable picture of the population and the housing of St. Lucia.
Minister for Economic Development, Housing, Urban Renewal, Transport and Civil Aviation, Honorable Guy Joseph, emphasized the importance of information stemming out of the census in the creation and execution of government policies and programs. This information, he noted, is vital when creating social programs to ensure that the targeted individuals are reached.
When we reduce the price of rice, flour, and sugar, it is reduced for the hotels, it is reduced for the restaurants, it is reduced for everybody. And the person who could not afford to buy it, the poor, the indigent, is still affected and they still have the same challenges. With proper information, where you can run a targeted social program, it means that the persons who really need the help would be able to get more of the help. And so, I am appealing to our people in St. Lucia to cooperate fully in helping to gather this information that is so vital.
Former Director of the Central Statistical Office, Edwin St. Catherine, explained how new technology will help make the tedious task of the enumerators conducting the census easier.
We use multiple data sources to identify areas where major changes have occurred in the building footprint using the latest satellite and Google Maps imagery. Okay, and hopefully we get the support and have been engaging heavily the Lands and Survey Department to load onto all of the tablets those base maps. Cut them up into 550 little pieces and make sure we load each piece that we use, that we would give an enumerator. We say go to that piece and interview every person there, after having identified every building within that location. So that's a very important activity and undertaking. So we do that on tablets. So it's a tablet-based census. Many censuses have moved in that direction.
The Statistical Office announced the winners of its school slogan competition and People's Choice slogan. Kurt Reynolds, a student of the Camille Henry Memorial School, with The Future is Counting on You and Comte St. Lucie, respectively. Shane Shalry emerged winner of the logo competition. The Statistical Office also revealed its jingle for this year's census and urged the St. Lucian public to take part in the census and give their full cooperation to the enumerators who will be gathering the relevant information. A partnership between the University of Vermont and the Ministry of Commerce, Industry, Investment, Enterprise Development, and Consumer Affairs continues to bear fruit. A recent collaboration saw 18 students and 2 professors engaged in 4 community projects. We hear more in this report.
A contingent of 18 students and 2 professors from the University of Vermont have completed 4 community projects in St. Lucia. These projects consisted of a kitchen garden at the Lady Gordon Opportunity Center, a survey of the Piton Management Area in Soufrière, a survey on the banking sector, and a media podcast. Senior lecturer at the University of Vermont, Thomas DeSisto, applauded the partnership with the people of St. Lucia.
All 4 of these projects this year and all previous years were, in truth, the brainchild of people of St. Lucia that we collaborate with, and we think that that's absolutely critical.
The partnership between the University of Vermont and the Ministry of Commerce has spanned over a 16-year period, and throughout which time they have engaged in several community projects.
I must indicate that we at the Ministry of Commerce are quite satisfied thus far with the collaboration, as this agreement, which was initially conceptualized to just benefit from the Consumer Affairs Department, has evolved, and it has expanded its reach to include collaborations and exchanges with other national social partners like the Piton Management Area. We've partnered as well with community groups. So that speaks well in terms of the partnership or the collaboration between St. Lucia and the University of Vermont.
Previous projects included HIV/AIDS education using soccer, consumer cable and internet services survey, and the installation of a hydropower system on the island. From the Ministry of Commerce, International Trade, Investment, Enterprise Development, and Consumer Affairs, I am Alicia Williams-Davy reporting.
The OECS USAID Early Learners Program hosted a regional conference for education officers to foster a collaborative approach to strengthening the teaching of reading in 6 OECS member states: Antigua and Barbuda, the Commonwealth of Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The conference, which was held in St. Lucia from January 21st to 22nd, focused on the overall approach and execution of the ELP within the OECS member states and the activities which have supported this approach. Over the lifespan of the ELP program, teams of literacy specialists have been formed in each country, and over the last 2.5 years have worked with over 2,800 educators to enhance the teaching of reading. Participants including St. Lucia's Chief Education Officer, Fiona Maya, and the head of the Education Development Management Unit of the OECS Commission, Cicera Simon, shared their experiences.
Under our Early Learners Program, we have brought together all education officers across the OECS. The impact, the influence of the education officers is pivotal. And so you want the passion for reading to be improved, to be driven by the input of the education officers in the various zones throughout the OECS and the various districts as well. We're hoping that through this 2-day interaction among education officers that they would find some time to share some of the best practices, but moreover, discuss as a region some practical sustainability mechanisms which should be in place at the national level to better support the implementation of the project upon its close date, which is September of this year.
The ELP has always been about creating a team, and now by bringing the very important education officers to this conference, we're extending the team even wider.
So it's for us to really get all hands on deck and really see that this implementation of the principles continue and it is really sustained so our children can really improve in their reading.
So we are hoping if with this intervention, this 2-day intervention, we are able to get the support of the education officers in really ensuring that ELP or the outcomes or reading remains a focus, and moreover that the achievements from the Early Learners Program continues throughout the school years and years to come.
Through workshops and school-based coaching, Teachers have explored new and exciting methods of teaching. They have been supported through the provision of over 27,000 student books and an estimated 6,400 volumes for teachers. The results have been greater engagement of students in reading and enhancement of reading achievements in the region. And this is the NTN Nightly. We'll be back in a moment.
St. Lucia! Are you ready for the National Independence Parade? Celebrate our independence in a grand way this February 22nd, starting at the SAB in VG. Come experience a true St. Lucian spectacle with amazing floats, traditional dancers, musicians, and more. Led by the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and include communities, ministries, and business houses. Join in the excitement and let's show the best of St. Lucia. Now is the time. Let's do this together.
Welcome back. The Department of Gender Relations has hit a milestone as it prepares to submit its most recent draft national report on the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW. CEDAW is the first comprehensive framework protecting the rights of women under international law and was adopted in 1979 by the United Nations General Assembly. The country began preparing its 7th to 9th combined reports in 2019 with a number of consultations, educating public servants on gathering data and drafting such reports. The drafting team recently met to receive an update as well as to recognize those who have been integral to the process. Director of Gender Relations, Janie Joseph, highlighted the different types of discrimination.
There are two types of discrimination. Direct discrimination, most people know what that is. But indirect discrimination have to do with those things that are subtle, that we do not necessarily see as discrimination per se, because it does not overtly discriminate against one group of persons as opposed to another. These types of discrimination have to do with us being silent to the extent on certain things. Sometimes the particular rule or the particular practice or the particular law is making it extremely difficult for one group of people to be able to access opportunities and so on within the context of what the law or rule states.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines' Director of Gender Relations, Lafleur Kwame, was also part of the discussion. She hopes to learn from St. Lucia's experience in drafting such reports.
Because we have in the Caribbean similarities in terms of we come from the same historical backgrounds, we have the same challenges, the cultural compositions and so forth. So it's good when we can be able to forge a sisterhood, well, as it relates to gender, because most of the gender bureaus heads are females. So we have a sisterhood so that we can be able to share best practices and programs to see how we can be able to implement them or overcome the challenges wherever they may be. And as it relates to the international treaties, we would have signed on to almost all of them. And St. Vincent has signed on to seven, the most basically. We have signed on and ratified them basically. But as it relates to CEDAW and today, we would have acceded to this convention in August of 1981, 1 year shy of you, and has thus far submitted 2 periodical reports.
Sisters for Change is an international organization which works to combat discrimination and violence against women and girls. Its executive director, Alison Gordon, applauded the national drafting team on the work done.
To be able to pull together the level of talent that Janie identified and brought together in that room on that first day, when all of us were there thinking, what are we doing, was incredible. And that was definitely, I think, one of the cornerstones of the success of this and the ability to move forward in what was a relatively small time frame, given the fact that everybody here has at least 3 other day jobs. So it was critical to ensure that breadth to respond to what CEDAW requires in terms of the perspective of the country in terms of women's rights. And the input of all the departments that we've talked about did ensure that sense of national undertaking, that we're all in it together and that we all can own this and actually make a difference. And I think that's an amazing thing to be able to achieve. And there's no doubt that whenever you bring together a group of women, such as yourselves, there are a few problems in the world that they couldn't solve. So I'm not surprised that they were able to do this one. And then critical issues like data, which we've talked about too, getting access, that would not have been possible without having the experts from those departments knowing where to go to find out stuff.
And that was Executive Director of Sisters for Change, Alison Gordon. And stay with the NTN Nightly. Up next is Primus Hutchinson with the NTN Nouvelles en Creole.
The Independence 41 Gospel Extravaganza 2020 kicks off our Independence celebrations on Saturday, 1st February 2020 at 7 p.m. at the National Cultural Center under the theme, Now is the Time, Let's Praise, Reflect, Love, Give Thanks. Come join us for a night of inspirational pieces featuring gospel groups, singers, dancers, and musicians from various denominations around the island. Take in an amazing production building on the origin of Negro spirituals as we worship together. Now is the time. Let's do this together.
Welcome back. We join Primus Hutchinson for the NTN Nouvelles en Creole.
Merci autant, Nisha. Monsieur, Madame, département qui est responsabilité pour formation en gouvernement celle-ci GIS, à ce même télévision nationale PA NTN, qu'a posé Nouvelles en Creole. Posé Primus Hutchinson. Gouvernement a établi un morceau de législation pour soulager business industry et l'autre service business en même hauteur salaire. Législation établie pour principalement faciliter l'investissement local et les étrangers aussi, particulièrement en production secteur économique. Parmi ces bénéfices-là, pour ce secteur-là, c'est soulagement des holiday tax pour 15 l'année. Il y a aussi placé grâce à ce taxe pour équipement et machines qui c'est business à la acheté l'autre pays. Il y a aussi qu'à y trouver grâce des taxes à sur les matériaux qui ont négligé pour assembler produits. N'importe producteur, ça trouve bénéfice là depuis qu'il a produit cet article-là que le gouvernement a approuvé en considération des gros développements qu'il a fait, c'est tellement rapide à la terre. Le gouvernement celle-ci a fait comme qu'il peut pour établir un système pour faciliter l'opération des secteurs privés celle-ci. Parmi ces divers business-là qui trouvent bénéfice de la législation, c'est service accounting, ça veut dire les professionnels qui ont poursuivi le Conseil des affaires finances. Il y a aussi qui a conduit le service des consultants management, qui est un service pour tuer portrait, un service bâtiment, service ingénieur, service publication, service docteur, les animaux, et service médical et santé dents. Là, il y a aussi grosse taxe pour eux qui sont engagés dans le service production cinéma, service des amusements, sport et aussi yo qui est engagé dans la production vidéo et distribution service là. Ça est available aussi pour service télécommunication, en parmi l'autre comme ça, monde qui est engagé dans le service santé et belleté, particulièrement belleté physique et aussi service laboratoire. 18 étudiants et 2 professeurs de l'Université Vermont ont conduit et fini 4 projets communs à cette lycée. Ce projet là c'était un jardin de produits de cuisine en Sat Lady Gordon, un projet d'aménagement Python en Sophia, un des secteurs bac à celle-ci et une production d'aménagement projet Python Sophia. Il y a un professeur, Thomas de Sister, applaudit le gymnase là qui est l'Université Vermont formé et puis le peuple celle-ci. Professeur de Sister déclaré que tous 4 projets et l'autre projet avant ça, c'était toujours un résultat qu'a-t-il celle-ci. Et qu'ils ont collaboré parce qu'ils comprennent que c'était absolument critique. Le gymnase là a existé pour plus de 16 années après ça. Et puis le ministère des Affaires Commerce j'ai appris un cours en plusieurs communes à cette lycée. Le directeur des Affaires consommateurs au ministère, Guillaume Simon, très appréciable collaboration ça là. excès des gros bénéfices là qui apporté pour toutes ces agences sociales excès divers groupes à ces communes pays. En parmi projets qui étaient faits avant, c'était éducation sur maladie sida à l'école première d'Henry avec service internet à parmi l'autre. Aujourd'hui, nous avons posé attention à ce programme travail chemin en continuation adresse Premier ministre ici pour commencement l'année 2020. Premier ministre Chasney mentionné programme réhabilitation chemin, rangement petit chemin, réhabilitation grand chemin, castruit pour souffrir et pour adresser projet grand chemin nouveau sorti Gozile pour toute cette ici. Ça c'est pour soulager le problème de trafic qui a comblé à ce l'autre à ce grand chemin castruit pour Gozile. Tout ce projet ça là, qui a trouvé support finance gouvernement Taïwan, Banque Développement Caraïbes, CDB, et l'autre agence de développement. Premier ministre là, en adresse li réfléchi mais moi public là à ce travail qui a commencé à ce chemin Kasaba à Gozile, chemin forestier Timor à Union, Saltibis à Choisey et chemin Belay à Wet Millet. Et annoncé que travail déjà organisé pour chemin en village d'Henry, Blanchat, et Spring Roads à Sud-Mikou et chemin New Development à Soufrière. Pour mentionner en de trois toujours. Travail projet redéveloppement chemin qui a coûté gouvernement 10 millions de dollars. Grand chemin million là et grand chemin sorti de sac pour Soufrière 22 millions et tout ce chemin en commerce c'est 4 millions. Enfin, presque 354 millions. Et ça a fait plus gros investment en l'histoire cette ici, c'est le Premier ministre Alain Chasney. Et c'est comme ça, nous avons trois bonnes nouvelles nous. Je vous remercie autant pour regarder et je vous remercie une invitation. Je ne peux pas considérer qu'on se fait la vie, nous avons posé pour l'autre nouvelle à quoi la présent. Je viens pour cette Michel.
Merci Opil Primus. And here's a look at what's happening to us weather-wise. Fair to occasionally cloudy skies with a few scattered showers over the southern Lesser Antilles. Elsewhere, fair to partly cloudy with a few showers. The Atlantic high-pressure system will continue to generate light to moderate easterly winds across the eastern Caribbean region during the next few days. Moisture and instability in the atmosphere over the southern half of the region will cause more showery periods over that area within the forecast period. A relatively dry and stable atmosphere will maintain generally fair conditions over the rest of the island during the next 24 hours. The tides for Castries Harbour was high at 6:35 p.m. and will be low at 12:53 a.m. The tides for Vieux-Fort Bay was low at 1:46 p.m. and will be high at 7:42 p.m. The seas moderate with waves of 4 to 6 feet or 1.2 to 1.8 meters. The sun will rise Thursday at 6:31 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the NTN Nightly. Join us next time at 7 p.m. with a repeat at 7 a.m. You can also catch up with us anytime on the St. Lucia Government Facebook page or YouTube channel. I'm Nisha Charles.